We are back on MorningLine. Just fascinating conversation this morning with Bill Carter. His book, Get Carter, tells the story of his career from Secret Service agent, working for presidents, to the Rolling Stones, to Reba McEntire. We're covering a lot of bases here. When we wrapped up the last segment, we were just ending with, the fact that you were on board and got the Rolling Stones into this country, had to participate on tour with them. All right, we talked about Mick. Now, Keith, actually, you said, I don't know, maybe you got closer to him than any other Rolling Stone. And, all right, so you're on tour, okay, and Keith starts hearing stories about Arkansas, and he wants to go down there and see it. And you're somewhere, and they're spending the night, you're going to bed that night, you get this call, and you're like, no, you're not to do that. Right? What did he want to do?
We were in Memphis, and we had a show on Friday, and we had Saturday off, and Sunday show in Dallas.
Okay.
So we're laying over in Memphis, and Keith comes to me that Friday and says, look, I don't want to rent a car and drive to Dallas. And I'm thinking, you can't get to Dallas without going through Arkansas. I don't think you should do that. And he said, I said, look, Keith, this is 1963, and 1973, I mean, or 70. Actually, 75. I'll get it right in a minute.
That's all right.
So this is 1975, and Arkansas is not the place for you and driving through if you ever got stuck.
What's his attitude? He's like, I want to see it.
Well, he said, okay, I'll listen to you, and I'll forget about it. So the next day, Saturday, a judge friend of mine I went to law school with in West Memphis, Arkansas, invited me over to barbecue and relaxed the day off. So I'm over there, we're out on the patio with a grill going, and I get a phone call because I had to tell them where I was. So, and they had landlines, we didn't have cell phones then. And they get a call at his house, urgent. And one of the Stones guys comes on, and it's the staff people, and said, Keith's been arrested in Fordyce, Arkansas. And he said, Fordyce. That was the worst redneck city.
Wait, isn't that where Bear Bryant's from?
Yes, Bear made Fordyce famous. But it's, I mean, in those years, it was still very conservative. So right away, I said, all right. I told the guy, I said, well, get me $50,000 cash and meet me in Fordyce. Rent a charter plane in Memphis. But in the meantime, I'm leaving now. And I was with Judge Fairley, and I said, Judge, I need you to go with me because I'm likely going to be arrested myself. So you need to be there to represent me. So we chartered a plane in West Memphis, flew down there. We got 3 o'clock. Now here's an interesting thing. We get there and the state police has set up roadblocks. So many kids, it had hit the radio.
It went public that he had been arrested.
The TV station from Little Rock was there, and from Dallas had flown. They had chartered a Learjet and flown to Fordyce and got there before I did.
Right.
And they're all set up.
And by the way, was he arrested a traffic stop and they found drugs?
Yeah,
is that
well, they didn't find drugs. They said they smell marijuana, which is an old state police trick. So that gave them probable cause to search. Now, in the meantime, I had been on the Arkansas Law Enforcement Training Academy Commission for years. Rockefeller had appointed me to that. So I knew every law enforcement officer in Arkansas. Many of them I'd trained. So I got the head of the state police on the phone and said, look, don't do a thing till I get there. I don't want you searching the car or anything else. And he said, fine, we'll wait till you arrive. So then we get to, by the time we get there though, there must have been, Fordyce was about 5,000 people. There was probably 10,000 kids there.
And around the jail?
Surrounded, and the state police then had cut off. No one could come into Fordyce after that point because they were afraid the crowd would get out of control.
Yeah, riot. Now Keith's locked up behind bars. He's in a little tiny jail cell?
They didn't lock him up. They put him in the judge's office, he and Ronnie and the other 2 guys.
What did he think? Was he amused by it? When you walked in, what did he say?
He was not under any stress. I mean, he was cool.
So when you walked in, did he say, "I'm sorry, I should have listened to you"?
No. I asked him exactly what had happened, and he told me, and he was cool. He and Ronnie were having fun with it. They were having pictures made with the clerk of the courts and people like that, and so and the judge, and this became a famous event. The judge had been playing golf all day. So now any judge that plays golf and has a cocktail on the golf course would be
a little tipsy.
Yeah. Okay. But then the chief of police was a redneck first class, so he didn't want the judge on the bench, and he made that statement clear. So the judge was going ahead, and he'd get interrupted with a phone call from London about the arrest. The judge would leave the bench and go talk to the London press. So anyway, it was kind of chaotic in the courtroom. Now the judge is there. The chief of police is mad at the judge, and I told the judge, my argument was just follow the law. And so anyway, they had then found a briefcase in the trunk of the car that belonged to one of the individuals in the car, and found some cocaine in it. So that was the basis for the arrest. They were trying to say that it belonged to Keith, and I was arguing that the search was illegal because they had no probable cause. Now, they had a young prosecutor just out of law school, Tommy Mays, and he hadn't been tainted, so he understood what the law was, and I was arguing the law. The judge was about to rule for me, and Tommy Mays, the prosecutor, was agreeing. So the judge is going to dismiss this. The chief of police went to the judge and said, "I'm going to arrest you for public drunk," and just take him off the bench.
Holy cow.
They get into a scuffle, Judge Fairley and I. In the meantime, I made a phone call to the judge's brother, who was the prosecuting attorney in that district, Frank Wynn, and told him to get over here. I went, "I need your help." So he came, and he arrived about that same time. So we separated the judge and the chief of police, and the judge went back on the bench and made his decision.
And we should say, if there's a reason this chief was so gung-ho, he knew this could be kind of his moment in the sun, because had those charges stuck, does that not mean that visa gets revoked?
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
the Stones would have been back in London, and the tour canceled, which was huge that you were able, again, under the law, to get, what were the charges dismissed and Keith drove out of there?
The judge dismissed, well, what he said, "I'm going to make a bond." I think it was $500, and we made the bond. He said, "No, I'm not going to make any ruling. I'm going to release him on this bond. And when you get back to your law office, prepare a motion to dismiss this, and I'll sign it." Okay. So he released us on this bond, and I'd had my law partner in Little Rock chartered King Air fly down to Fordyce to pick us up. It's like 12:30 now, after midnight. And the plane's sitting out there. So the state police had to put us in, give us an escort to get us to the airport in Fordyce to meet that plane, because the kids were everywhere. They'd taken that town over.
Wow. So is it very safe to say, though, honestly, had those charges stuck, and would that have resulted in riots?
That would have been the end of the tour.
But it would have been bad. There would have been a harsh reaction to that, wouldn't there, among the kids?
They would have. They would have burned the town down. I'll tell you, it was actually when he was arrested in Toronto in '77. I used that tactic with the police. I had our PR guy get on the radio and tell him that Keith was in jail in Toronto and risk his life because he's a heroin addict and he was in jail. He couldn't get access to the drugs. He would die. And they told us in 48 hours. He will withdraw and he will be dead. So I put it on the radio throughout Canada and New York, and the kids started coming. I mean, it was, and I told the chief of police, "Let me tell you something. If we had a hearing, the kids are coming. They're swarming around the courthouse." And the judge, and I told the judge, "Let me tell you, all I want is a bond, and give me a chance to get him treated, if you will do that. But if you don't do that, Stones fans will burn this city." And the chief by then had seen the kids out front.
And he knew, come on, and this was not a battle. Did you say we need to go to a break, Mary Elena? Okay, we're going to take a break. I should say this, you and Keith still friends today.
Yes.
Take a break, be back with more and some more of your calls right after this.
This week